Your message is distasteful, Mr. Gavaskar. Please explain why you thought it was okay to make such a statement. Good evening. Welcome. The news break in the newsroom right now. Bollywood actor Anushka Sharma has taken exception to some remarks made by former India captain Sunil Gavaskar during commentary after her husband, Royal Challengers Bangalore skipper Virat Kohli, had a poor outing against the Kings 11 Punjab in their IPL 2020 league match on Thursday. Virat Kohli put down two crucial catches of rival skipper Rahul, who went on to score an unbeaten century, and then was himself dismissed for just one run off 5 deliveries. He only practiced against Anushka's bowling during the lockdown. See the video, that won't help, Gavaskar was heard saying during the commentary. Let's go across to Rohit Khilnani for more. Why did you think of making such a sweeping statement on a wife accusing her of her husband's game? Anushka Sharma, Rohit Khilnani, with a commentary of her own there on her Instagram page. This is actually, pegged to a video that went viral during the lockdown where we saw Anushka and Kohli playing cricket on their terrace.
Yes, that's the video that he's talking about. This was during the lockdown. And, clearly Virat Kohli was having a rough day on the field. This happens to every cricketer at some point or the other. And that's the day Sunil Gavaskar used to make a personal remark and brought Anushka Sharma's name in it. Completely unwanted and not required at all. And this didn't go down well with Anushka Sharma, who's known to be vocal, and she speaks out every time she sees something wrong, be it about any issue or anything that she thinks volunteers her opinion. So she put out a long statement on her Instagram story and made it very clear that these kind of comments are not acceptable. She should not and never be dragged into her husband's game. What he does on field, she obviously has no control over it. And also they are two different individuals. They are two different professionals. So the message has gone to Mr. Sunil Gavaskar very clearly from Anushka Sharma. And now social media is abuzz with asking for an apology from Sunil Gavaskar. We have not heard from him since then. But all her fans are tweeting and saying that Mr. Gavaskar should apologize.
So, Rohit, what are the other, you said this is taking social media by a buzz. What are the sorts of reactions we're getting? Because this is not the first time this has happened to Anushka Sharma for sure. Certainly not the first time it's happened to wives across the world being held accountable for their husbands' professional successes. What are the reactions we are seeing from men and women?
Most of the reactions are so far from Anushka's fans, and men and women are saying the same thing, that there was absolutely no reason to do this. This is a game played by Virat Kohli and his team. There's absolutely no connection. Anushka Sharma back home was watching just like all of us, and on a day when Virat is not performing, when he's not in his top form for whatever reason, it's a game at the end of the day. That's when it hurts the most, and that's exactly what happened to Anushka Sharma, who must be watching the game like most of us, I guess. And that's when this comes from nowhere, and that's when you take time to respond. She took a day and she put out this, and she wanted to send out a strong message, and she's asking for privacy. She also tells him that I'm sure you have given privacy to so many other cricketers and their spouses, and so why not us?
A fair question, certainly. Thanks for that. So is this taking commentary a bit too far? Why bring in a wife while talking about a man's professional performances? Sunil Gavaskar's comments have drawn a widespread ire. Can Gavaskar's defenders actually claim that too much is being made out of a careless comment? Well, for more on this, joining us now is Sanjay Jha, founder of cricketnext.com, and we have Saira Shah Halim, writer and activist. Sanjay Jha, to you first. Anushka Sharma says in her Instagram post, it's 2020 and things still don't change. When will she stop being dragged into cricket and stop being used to pass sweeping statements? This time, Mr. Jha, it's not trolls. It's not nameless, faceless people on Twitter that you can say we should just ignore them. It's none other than, the Sunil Gavaskar.
Sarah, can you hear me clearly? Because your voice is cracking to me. Can you hear me loud and clear?
We hear you, Mr. Jha.
Yes.
Okay. Sarah, my short point will be that Anushka Sharma has been subjected to some of the most vulgar and the unwarranted misogynistic comments since her relationship with Virat Kohli became public, and even after they have been married, that entire attitude that a lot of people have, linking the performance of Virat Kohli on the ground to his relationship with Anushka is bizarre, outrageous, and frankly archaic. I mean, this is not the kind of an attitude you need to see in our country. And therefore, I'm a great admirer of Sunil Gavaskar. He's been an iconic cricketer and probably one of the finest gentlemen of the game. I don't want to defend what he said because there can be no rational justification for even a flippant comment which drags a woman into the game of sport. Having said that, I do believe that Sunil probably would have come from, just maybe, this is the whole nature of the beast. IPL is such a flippant, frivolous game of pajama cricket, cheerleaders, drama all the time, that I think a lot of the commentators probably get carried away by that entire aura. And otherwise, I think Sunil would not have made any comment where he would be accused of making a slanderous observation. But I do believe we need to be very sensitive about Anushka, and she's got every right to feel very aggrieved.
Mr. Jha, you said that perhaps, I think you've said perhaps he got carried away, but surely that can't be a free pass. This is somebody who's in a position of power, somebody who's in a position of influence. So he surely professionally needs to be more careful. Like Anushka Sharma says, we are in 2020. He needs to be more careful about what he allows to pass through his lips while commenting, because he's hired and in the role as a commentator for a reason.
No, Sarah, let me tell you this, that there is absolutely no logical explanation for any, any commentator, frankly, any observer of the game, any lover of the game. I don't think anybody has got the business to try and run down, the wife of a celebrity cricketer, one of the best cricketers India has produced. She's, by the way, a phenomenal actress in her own right. I mean, she's not just a good actor, she's a producer, she's an independent, fiery, spirited woman. And I think we need to respect these sensibilities, and I think it's very important that, these issues are discussed in society. I'm happy that, we're discussing it. All I want to say is that having known Sunil, at several levels, I can tell you, and following his cricket for a long time, I know for a fact that Sunil Gavaskar would not have intended, definitely, to hurt her sentiments, but she is completely in her space. She's got every right to kind of vent her angst and her, kind of frustration at the way she's being constantly deluged with these misogynistic comments. And I do hope that the commentators on IPL will respect her own identity, her own individuality, and let Virat Kohli is an exceptional cricketer. She's an exceptional actress. Just because they are married, we don't have to see an interplay between them. And I think she's got every right to feel upset about it. There's no denying that at all.
All right. Well, to be fair to Mr. Gavaskar, he has in the past taken on trolls when they attacked Anushka Sharma for her husband's performances on the field, professional performances, in an interview to NDTV. But as you're saying, he himself being a professional commentator here, should he have allowed such a comment to pass? Shobha Dey now joins us. Mr. Your reaction, your gut reaction to Anushka Sharma's Instagram statement.
Well, first of all, I think it was absolutely right for her to have responded and to have done so with dignity and grace and with promptness, because no matter who the person is, any woman who's been put down or feels she's been put down must immediately rectify the situation and respond. And in her case, I would also think she would expect an apology.
She would expect an apology. Ms. Dey, if you can hold that thought, I have Atul Vasan joining us and I want to get a reaction from him. Mr. Vasan, you of course have worked personally with Sunil Gavaskar many times in the past. Your reaction, because we haven't heard yet from Mr. Sunil Gavaskar. It's been hours since that comment was first made on air, and since Anushka Sharma's statement, a hard-hitting statement, has been put out.
I know, and I'm really surprised actually, because Anushka is a very intelligent woman of the world, and I think she should have easily gauged whether this was a malafide comment or something intended to make or mock her. You know, it was such a cute video of them playing together on the terrace. You know, it's wonderful couple goals there, and maybe just referring to it. And IPL commentary is fun. It is with a bit of humor, and I think that was his intent. It was no intention of Sunny Bhai to say or malign or put anybody down. And I think back to similar case when Virat had taken special permission for her to go to England in 2014 and not doing well. And I was on many debates, and I, to support him, has put out the point that just because Virat has got a trophy girlfriend, that everybody is going after him, that he's not doing well, which is unfair. But she got upset because of that comment also. So I think she's maybe oversensitive, but she has to understand in what connotation, in what context the comment has been made, and make a judicious choice.
So, Mr. Vasan, I take offense to your saying she's being oversensitive, but let me go across to Saira Shah and let her respond to the statements made by Mr. Atul Vasan that IPL commentary is fun and that Anushka Sharma has overreacted.
Right, Sarah. See, IPL commentary can be fun, but not on the expense of somebody else's spouse or girlfriend. You know, the fact that Anushka Sharma has gone out and put out a public post says it's quite telling that she is offended by this sexist commentary that is going on. Because if you actually notice the news going all around, somebody's mental health can be blamed on a girlfriend, somebody's non-performance can be blamed on a spouse. I think these sexist patriarchal commentary and comments should be done away with, because it is unbecoming and it just doesn't suit a 21st century icon. And Mr. Gavaskar is a legend. He's a cricketing legend. He's an icon that people look up to. If they feel that he can get away with it, other people will also take cue, and they can start off with other, sexist jokes.
So-called fun comments can have a reverberation and have an effect that spreads and affects others, and so cannot be made by people in positions of power and influence. Atul Vasan, Virat Kohli and his team, they had a day to forget in the match. He was underwhelming in his performance. As a sportsman yourself, you know that in any sport, this may happen, right? So to attribute a dismal performance of a sportsman on a certain day to somebody else, to Anushka herself, that coming from a sportsman, is that excusable?
I'm shocked actually in what kind of context people are taking it. What did he say? That, in tongue-in-cheek, that this kind of bowling practice will not cut it out in IPL. Where was somebody putting down? Where is the sexism? Come on, if there was Virat's sister bowling to him, he would have made a comment about his sister or his brother bowling to him in the backyard, and he would have said his brother's bowling is not going to cut it for him in IPL. Where is the misogyny? Where is the sexism?
So Mr. Vasan, please explain to us, where does the responsibility lie? Actually, in the statement that Mr. Gavaskar made, he says that Virat Kohli is begging for bowling practice. Is the IPL, is his team, the managers, the entire team not responsible for providing that? Why does the blame fall on Anushka?
No, there's no blame game there. Because you were locked inside the house. Please listen to me. Let me finish. You were locked inside and they were having a game, and that because of that video, that context game. He made a comment about there were a couple of heavy bellies in the middle. We could see Rohit Sharma's paunch, and there was a comment made about that. He didn't come out crying because we were locked down. Of course, some guys were not able to train as much as other people. Saurabh Tiwari's paunch was hanging out.
So you're absolutely right. You're right, Mr. You've touched upon a very important point. These are professionals. Whether there is a lockdown or not, students are being made to sit for their NEET exams, their JEE exams. We are applauding students who have overcome all odds to score good marks in their grades. Why should these professionals not be working out and keeping themselves fit? Virat Kohli is among the few of us who have the privilege of having a terrace and may be able to work out. Why drag in his wife, and none other than Sunil Gavaskar, dragging in his wife and saying that her bowling has been subpar and that's why he's not being able to perform?
Yeah, so that's what it is. Some guys, there are 300 cricketers, maybe out of 320 cricketers, in spite of what they did, were not fit. I mean, what's the point? Even they were trying to have a game on the terrace, and it's a humorous comment that the Anushka's bowling will not cut it out for Virat in IPL, and that's it. and she should take pride in herself that she at least was giving practice to Virat. It's a compliment to her. And where are you taking this whole debate? I'm surprised that you and bringing in NEET and students and all that. This is ridiculous.
Ms. Shah, it's a compliment to her. Now we've gone to the other extreme that look at this beautiful wife who's actually helping Virat Kohli get some practice in the time of a lockdown. But seriously, on a more serious note, this is, this is symbolic of the problems. Like she says, it's 2020 and we're still facing this. The successes of her husband, no matter how enabled by the labor, the sacrifice, the intellectual contributions of a wife is never directly accrued to the wife. But if the husband does poorly, she has to step up and take the blame.
Absolutely, Sarah. This is adding, further insult to the injury by saying that Anushka should take pride. Here, he's put out a clearly sexist and offensive commentary, which is demeaning to any spouse, because Anushka is an actress. She's an established, recognized actress in her own right. And why would she take the ownership of making her husband practice? And her husband's practice, performance, non-performance does not depend on, his spouse. And I think it is offensive, and he should retract his statement and issue out an apology if she has put out a public, like a tweet or an Instagram post. He should take cognizance of it and, put out an apology.
The world is changing. We are all going through a coronavirus pandemic and everybody is adjusting. Work from home, it's an adjustment for everybody. And these professional cricketers need to keep themselves fit, Mr. Vasan. But I want to ask you, lastly about, you say this is all in jest, everybody is overreacting. What would you say then, there's been this very hard-hitting WhatsApp doing the rounds, Anushka Sharma and Virat Kohli expecting their first child. But many were now asking that now that Virat Kohli is going to be a father, is it time for him to retire? Surely, how can he focus both on his professional career and his role as a father? Would you also take that in jest?
No, just people. If you go and be serious about all the comments made all over, then I'll feel sorry for you. But obviously, what has fatherhood got to do with the sportsman career? If there are people who just write things, and if you chase down everybody who writes something, then I think we'll be wasting our time. It's got no relation to the controversy or the thing. I think Sunil Gavaskar is a gentleman. I think I know for sure that he didn't have any malified intent or anything to make a jest of Anushka or anything. But he would still, if needed, he will apologize. That's the kind of guy he is. And I'm sure if she is feeling let down by this comment, he will apologize. But for sure, it was not meant in the way that she has taken it.
All right, he will apologize, says Atul Vasan. After all, as you put it, this is a gentleman's game. Thank you so much, Mr. Vasan, Mr. Jha and Ms. Shah for joining us.